Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Falling Forward Financial. Just an update here on Intel. Come out with some information. I didn't realize how far they were down lately here. So kind of just like everything else, this one doesn't move much, but it has moved quite a bit in the last year, down over 33%. Here in the last 3 months, down over 20%. Or right at 20%. Here in the past month, down 2.6%. Here in the last week, it's actually in the green, 4.5%. And here's a look at today. It's down again. So I've talked about this one a couple times. I just went over some other tech stocks, Zebra and some other ones, a semiconductor. I'll link that in the description as well. That was my last video I did, so you can easily find that in the library. This one's Intel, ticker INTC. I've talked about them and AMD quite a few times. AMD does not give a dividend, but they're much more of a growth stock than what Intel is. Intel is just kind of a big, they call it a dinosaur. It doesn't move much, but it does have a dividend. So, but again, just a semiconductor. Feel free to pause and go over all that information. They were stagnant for quite a while. Got the new CEO, ran up to the levels you see back here a year ago, the high 50s, almost a $60 range. But here over the last year, it's just been coming down. So $153 billion market cap, high today of $37.69, low of $37.03, high of $57.46, and a low of $35.54. I think this was higher actually at one point in time, and 4 something, but I suppose since the price went down, that reflects as why it's lower. Currently at a 3.7 dividend yield and average volume of 32.2, and volume here today of 12.1. So 54% hold on this one. And here's a look at their next earnings on July 28th. Here's some of my last dividends. I did have 4 shares here in Robinhood, so you get 0.365. So $1.46, so it'd be $1.46 for the year is what you get. So take this times 4 because it's paid out quarterly. I know I have 4 shares, so I am doing the math correctly. So, but you get $1.46 per share. That's on an annual payout. Again, that was back in March, and here you can see back in December they were doing 0.3475. So it's went up a little bit, so that always helps. So, and here's AMD Lucky 7 7777. So I just did a video on AT&T, but this is Intel. Investors are sitting on a loss of 29% if they invested a year ago, and just as I already showed you, this was out on the 8th. So the simplest way to benefit from a rising market is to buy an index fund. While individual stocks can be big winners, plenty more fail to generate satisfactory returns. Unfortunately, Intel's share price slid 31% over 12 months. That's disappointing when you consider the market declined 15%. Longer than shareholders haven't suffered as badly, since the stock is down a comparatively less painful 22% in 3 years. Shareholders have had an even rougher run lately, with the share price down 19% in the last 90 days, but it could be related to the weak market, which is down 13% in the same period. While markets are a powerful pricing mechanism, share prices reflect investor sentiment, not just underlying business performance, and that's pretty typical on any stock. So, but this one, like I said, it doesn't move a whole lot, but it actually has moved in the last year. It's kind of back down to the levels that it was at, and before it had the run-up with the new CEO. And some other information out about them. I'll link those videos in the description as well. When looking at an investment returns, this kind of goes over their dividend. It is important to consider the difference between total share return and share price return. The TSR is a return calculation that accounts for the value of cash dividends, assuming that any dividend received was reinvested, and then calculated value of any discounted capital raisings and spin-offs. So for companies that pay a generous dividend, the TSR is often a lot higher than the share price return. Here kind of goes over 3 warning signs for Intel. Unfortunately, that's the worse than the broader market, a decline of a 15%. We regret to report Intel shareholders are down 29%, so they're not having too great of a year. Inevitable that some stocks are oversold in the failing market. With a gain of 5% per year over the half of a decade, it could be that of a recent sell-off is an opportunity, so it may be worth checking the fundamental data for signs of a long-term growth trend. And there are plenty of other companies that have insiders buying up shares. And moving on here, PC demand is sagging. Intel and AMD head into a much weaker second half, and this is also dated here today. With demand for personal computers rapid decelerating, there is trouble ahead for both Intel and Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, which provide most of the microprocessors used in laptops and desktops. Barclays Semiconductor Analysis Blaine Curtis warned in a research note Monday that June quarter notebook production from Taiwan-based contract manufacturers missed expectations, but adds the bigger issue for the PC component companies is much weaker than expected outlook for the second half of 2022. Curtis now expects a full year 2022 notebook production to drop 17%, down from a previously forecast 12% decline. Intel made cautious comments about the demand outlook at an investment conference last month, and views the situation yet another negative data point for Intel and micro devices. So if you're looking to get into these, now would be a time to watch these and put them on your watch list, and maybe pick up some shares if that's what you're hoping to do, since they are down. So repeats the underweight rating, trimmed his target from 40 to 45 for AMD, and maintains his equal weight rating with a new target of 85, down from 115. For both Intel and AMD, the analyst now has below consensus estimates for June and September quarters, and for both 2022 and 2023. Barclays maintains underweight rating for Intel, and here's what you need to know. So again, just doesn't sound too good for Intel, lowering its price target from 45 to 40, and we're currently below that. So shares of Intel are trading down 1.97% over the last 24 hours at $37.24 per share. A move to $40 would account for a 7.41% increase from the current share price. So again, about Intel, they're the world's largest chip maker. It designs and manufactures microprocessors for the global personal computer and data center markets. Intel pioneered the x86 architecture and microprocessors. It was the prime proponent of Moore's laws for advances in semiconductor manufacturing, though the firm has recently faced manufacturing delays. And here's more about their analyst ratings. We'll go over more of that towards the end. Over here on Microsoft Bing, currently showing it as a hold, and maybe they haven't updated their price target, but it's shown $49.50 here. currently at 37.52. Over here on Reddit, I own Intel, and growing a profitable semiconductor company that pays a 3% dividend. Might have to look at that one as well. HIMX. Over here on a StockTwits, currently at 37.46. Best analysis price target for the week. So undervalued. This company is a money printer. It's true, but the stock just kind of doesn't reflect that. So over here on MSN Money, currently at 37.46, showing it as a hold with a price target of $50.27. But if you have Intel, go ahead and list that in the comments along with your cost basis, any other information you'd like to share on this one. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, go ahead and hit that for me, as well as subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is J Money, Falling Forward Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.